everybody, and welcome to CasaLoud Chats, a podcast dedicated to Nickelodeon's The Casagrandes and the Loud House universe. And I'm your host, Sunny, and welcome to episode 46 of CasaLoud Chats. And today we're going to be talking about the recent episodes of the Loud House and the Casagrandes that aired last week and this week, of course, because there were episodes on Friday, but then we also got 2 more new episodes of the Loud House on Monday, back to back, so there was a lot of episodes. So we're going to be talking about those today. But I'm actually not alone in talking about all these episodes of both shows today. I have a very special first-time guest with me here today. You know this person over on Twitter. Their username is mychiller, or they're going to be called here Skylar. Welcome to my podcast, Skylar.
Hello, Sunny. Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you doing today? Thank you for coming on.
I'm doing pretty good. It's kind of cold, but I'm pretty good.
Oh yeah, same here. When you live in the East Coast, it's like super
Uh,
cold all the time.
I'm in Colorado.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now you
Yeah.
know how I feel. Lots of snow
Yeah.
everywhere. So, Skylar, there's probably people out there who either do know who you are or don't know who you are. So I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself to our audience. Tell us about yourself.
Okay. My name is Skylar. I am a oh boy. I I'm a oh I'm this is right. Okay. Here. My name is Skylar. I like the Loud House. I like the Casagrandes. I also like different types of music from different decades. So I confuse Spotify all the time. I like different TV shows from both live action and animated shows. I live in Colorado. I love baseball and hockey. My favorite teams are the Colorado Rockies and the Colorado Avalanche. And yeah, I also like anime. I like certain other things too. And yeah,
That's nice. Yeah, you do like a lot of stuff. You said you like
yeah.
all kinds of music. I'm a big 80s fan myself. Do you like the 80s?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Good, good. Yeah, 80s is my favorite decade, but good to hear. So I've been asking this question lately to my first time guest, so I'm gonna ask you, how did you become a fan of the Loud House and the Casagrandes, and why are you a fan of both shows?
Oh, this is actually a very interesting story for me because back in 2013 they released a short, and I don't know how I found it, but I found it and I watched it, and it was like because and Lincoln was going down and telling everybody and about his family and going through the hallway from that short, and I when I finished watching that, I was like I just kind of like just stood up and said, "Hey, come on, please make this a show." I was like cheering it on, wanting it to be a show, and then eventually, and then I kind of forgot about it. Then they announced it's going to be a show. Like, yeah. So when the first episode came out, I was already really happy to watch the show. Like, already was already invested to want this to be a show. So when it came out, I was like, yeah. With the Casagrandes, it kind of just came because they were with the Loud House and already knew everybody in the show, so I liked them too.
That's great.
Uh,
So you were a fan from the start, like from the
yeah.
beginning. That's awesome. Yeah,
Uh,
I became a fan early on in season 1, but I didn't become a fan until Save the Date, like really late into season 1. So it's crazy that some people actually like literally wanted to become a fan from the start of the series, but that's awesome.
yeah. It was like, oh, because I like how Lincoln sold the show to me. I was like, oh, I want this to be a show. I was like, yeah, because it was so charming to me, and it was really something special to me. And I was like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, well, the show, yeah, I mean, that hooked me into, like, when I first saw the show, I mean, I got hooked in because of Roddykin, but when I actually saw the show, like, the art style and Lincoln, of course, sold me on it besides the shipping aspect, but, yeah, I mean, I've been a fan since then, but, yeah, it's cool that you, like, literally became a fan from the start. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course we're going to be talking about the Loud House and the Casa Grandes today. So, but first we're going to start out with some Casa news. So let's start out with some Casa news. Okay, so for this week for news of the Loud House and the Casa Grandes, There is a lot of stuff, but it's mostly just condensed stuff, so we don't have to talk about it much. But for this week there's going to be brand new episodes of the Casagrandes on the 15th, as we talked about before, with the Loud House Makeup Musical Countdown. They're premiering the Casagrande episodes, new No Egrets and Meal Ticket, which again were leaked out on Amazon in December, but if you haven't seen it yet, you can watch it on Monday. Have you watched the Meal Ticket or No Egrets episodes yet, or are you gonna wait till Monday?
I did see those in advance.
Okay, so you know that they're pretty good, right? They're good
Yeah.
episodes, yeah. Well, I can't talk about them yet because they haven't released yet, but they're both very good episodes. So whoever hasn't seen it yet, we'll see on the 15th. Are you also excited for are you gonna watch the Mega Musical Countdown too? Because that sounds pretty exciting.
I might.
Because Carlos Penvega, the voice of Bobby, is hosting it, so that's gonna be pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
He was a
again,
big time Rush too.
yes, he was, yeah. So that's why Bobby can sing, because he was also a big time Rush. That's pretty cool. And hosting a music countdown as well, that's pretty awesome, so I'm really looking forward to watching that. And maybe, I don't know like what's gonna happen when I post this, but maybe on Monday we'll finally get a promo for those Casagrande episodes coming out. Because again, we're supposed to be having 8 new episodes that week, including the very special Other Mess episode that's literally going to destroy the fandom forever in a good or bad way, but we're all looking forward to Other Mess the most. I mean, I am, of course. I don't know what's going to happen that day, but it's going to be life-changing. Oh my god. But hopefully we get a promo either on Monday or maybe Sunday, because we haven't seen anything yet from any of those episodes, but maybe Monday they're saving it so we all get hyped for 8 new episodes that week. But it's gonna be fun. Are you excited for all those Casagrande episodes coming out?
Oh yeah. I am.
Is there one you're looking forward to the most?
Let's see. Other Mess, of course. The one with Ronnie Ann and Laird.
Oh yeah. I'm very excited that Laird's getting a focus episode. I mean, I want a Sid episode, but if I guess Laird could get one too, you know. But yeah, I'm also looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to the Bobby and Carl one as well, because their dynamic is great together. So again, hopefully we'll get a promo on Monday about all those episodes, and I'm gonna have a very special episode for all 8 of those Casagrande episodes. Yeah, okay. All right, and then we're gonna move on to the actual news this week. Again, not a lot of news, but we do have new news about more new episodes of The Loud House coming out soon. We don't have dates for these. We just found out about them, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't remember. But we do have new titles. The first titles are Silence of the Lambs and Undercover Mom. And the description for these is the Silence of the Lambs is Luann is locked in a cell. That's it. Just Luann is locked in a cell. That's all it says. And then the Undercover Mom one, Mom goes undercover as a student. So are you excited for these episodes? Well, Luann's finally getting an episode this season. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been a while. Yeah, I like the reference to the title they had for Silence of the Luanns. I wonder why she's in a cell. What did she do?
Well, I mean, if it's an April Fool's Day episode, I mean, maybe, like the last time or I think it was Fool Me Twice, they tried to, or April Fool's Rules, they tried to lock her in a cage. So maybe, once it happened again, like the family decides to lock her up in jail or something. I don't know. It just sounds so vague. Like, why is she in jail? It's so weird. I don't know. And the Rita one sounds kind of like interesting, because I've seen episodes of shows where like a parent will dress up as a kid to go into their kid's classroom, like spy on them and stuff. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the Simpsons episode where like Homer was helping Bart with like a girl he had a crush on, so he dressed up as a student to like convince her to ask Bart out or something. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah, but we've seen that before. That's cool that Rita's getting an episode this season. So, I'm looking forward to whatever that Luann one's gonna be about. So weird.
Yeah.
And then the next episodes we know about are Hurl Interrupted and Diamonds Are For Never. The Hurl one is Lynn tries to stall her friends from riding the roller coaster, and the Diamonds one is Lola and Mr. Grouse find a gem. So are you excited for these ones? We also have another Lynn episode and a Lola and Mr. Grouse episode. That sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like the titles they did for these two. Lynn stopping her friends from going on a roller coaster is interesting. I wonder why she's doing that. And Mr. Grouse and Lola, that is a pairing I was not expecting to ever hear of.
Yeah, because the last time Mr. Grouse had any interaction with Aloud was bonding with Lynn over sports. So it's interesting that they're like pairing him up with Lola. Like, I would have thought that maybe this would be Lola and Flip because finding Gem and Flip liking money. But I guess,
Hmm.
this is another interesting pairing of having Mr. Grouse be in season 5. And yeah, the Lynn one, I don't know. Like, I think maybe she finds out like maybe this roller coaster is like too intense and maybe she's afraid her friends might get sick on it or something, which would be kind of interesting, but I don't know. It sounds interesting to see why Lynn wants to stop her friends from riding a roller coaster. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm just I wonder what friends like Margot, maybe Paula. I wonder who would that be too.
Yeah, because the last, like in season 4, we had Singled Out, where like the friends and their couples, the friends and their partners went to Dairyland, and so this is probably gonna be Dairyland again, which they like using Dairyland a lot lately. Like they've been using it in a bunch of episodes, even in the spinoff, because again, Other Best is gonna be about Dairyland, so it's pretty cool that they're finally using Dairyland again for locations and episodes.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, so again, we don't know when those episodes are coming out. We just found out about them. Probably will be in March because again, we have 8 new episodes of Casagrandes next week. I think we need a break after that. But
I
yes,
need a slight break.
yeah, we need a slight break, especially when Other Mess comes out. I need a break. I need a little break to like comprehend that episode. All right, and so yeah, that's all the news we know of this week. Obviously, when I post this, there'll probably be more news after that, but that's all we know. So we're just gonna jump right into the episode reviews of all the episodes that came out. So we're starting out with the episodes that aired on Friday. We're gonna start with the Loud House episodes first. So let's talk about the first episode, School of Shock. Lisa takes over for her first grade classroom and learns that there's more to teaching than just knowing facts. So, what'd you think about the Lisa episode?
I really enjoyed this one. Of course, Lisa is like my top loud favorite loud sister, but I really enjoyed it. It was funny too. Like the Darebot comes back, he's funny, and the robot and the dinosaur fight because the dinosaur's there. That dinosaur is kind of the weird part of the episode, but it's funny. I also like that Darcy was back to see because. And the little interaction at the beginning between Lisa and Darcy was really fun because you could still see a little bit of friends like Lisa wanting to make sure that Darcy didn't waste her time with that question or something. And it was really just a fun episode. A lot of funny things to see, like with Mrs. Johnson, like running around and jumping into the lockers and all the other fun things. It was just a very high, energetic, and funny episode.
Oh, you said Lisa's your favorite Lao sister?
Yep.
What do you like about Lisa?
Well, I like that first of all, I do like her sarcasm. I also like the fact that she's a fun character because she's a very dynamically mixed character. She's a character that's both smart but also a small child, and she has some childishness to her. So when she's trying to her character trying to balance those two things between it. So it kind of and it she's like and a little bit there's some sweetness in her, but she's kind of like just a little bit more. She's trying to push it back, but you can still see it comes out of her, and she's also funny too.
That's cool. I mean, Lisa's not a very. I hate to say this. Lisa's not a very popular choice of being a favorite character, but that's really nice that you can find something interesting about her. Like she's not like one of my top favorites, but she can be really funny when she's super sarcastic. So that's cool that Lisa's your favorite. That's very interesting. I like that.
Yeah,
Uh, no, go
I
ahead.
see a little bit. Yeah, I see a little bit of her myself a little bit because I have also not. I'm not like saying I'm super smart, but I'm saying I have seen a little bit of myself in her. Like some of the things like I like a lot of read a lot of information, looking a bunch of stuff up and everything. So I see a little bit of that in myself with her too.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, I have a friend who Lisa was their favorite, but to me, it's always super rare to find a Lisa fan in the fandom. So that's awesome. But as for me, yeah, I was actually rewatching the plug here, the Casa Live we did recently with Casa Loud Cybercast. We do the Casa Live sessions every so often. I talked about this episode where, again, Lisa's not one of my favorite character. Not one of my, but like she's not like a least favorite, but she's not one I don't really focus on. But like I feel like with Lisa, like the one gripe I have about with her character sometimes is that I feel like she thinks that sometimes she thinks she's better than everybody else in certain episodes, and that's something I think is a weakness against her as a character to make me kind of like her. Like in this episode, she thought that she was better at teaching than her own teacher, and she made her teacher quit, which is really funny because like I remember the teacher being like, "Oh man." And I thought Lola was gonna be bad. Like, like it was just so interesting to see like Lisa was the one that actually made her teacher quit and leave so Lisa could take over the class. And yeah, see, Darcy again was awesome because the last time we saw Darcy was in season 3, and we didn't think they would remember that Darcy is Lisa's friend. So it's cool that Darcy was actually in the same class as Lisa and to see her and remember her again. And yeah, like again, Lisa was trying to teach her class, and bringing back Darabot was cool too. Like that was pretty awesome. Again, continuity I love in this show, and again, like Lisa just bringing a dinosaur to life. Like I'm not surprised at this point that Lisa could just bring a dinosaur to life in the classroom, but I did like that the teacher came back and helped Lisa by like using all the skills that they learned in class to tame the dinosaur, and Lisa learned that yeah, I shouldn't be going about this the way I would, because again, she didn't know how to teach kids her age, because again, she thought that she was like smarter than everybody else and thought that like I don't know, teaching like math equations, all this stuff to like like first graders was like the best option to be a better teacher. But you had to have the other teacher come back and teach the way they should at their level. So again, it was a pretty funny episode just because Lisa, when she's sarcastic, she could be really funny and engaging. But sometimes I just don't like when she, for certain reasons, thinks that she's like better than everybody else in certain ways just because she's smarter. But that's just my opinion.
Mhm. I think that kind of just shows her more childish part of her, because I think that shows that she's that young child would think that they when they can do something that no one else can do, they'll say, "I'm the best. I can do all this." I think that shows that part of her characterization. Also, like the fact she has like kind of like has no filter to what she says. Like when she insulted Miss Allegra and with softball part, or brought up the softball not making a softball team, and the other part when she tells which made me laugh because I like dark humor, but a little bit when she said that we'll all be dust by that point anyway. But I think that kind of fits how her character is, that she has a little bit of that arrogance to, because that's her childishness coming out of her.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree on that because again, she is like a first grader, so it's always like to me, it's always like, oh yeah, like she is still a child. So like when she tries to become like like a smart ass and like try to think that she's like better than everybody else, it is her childish side coming out of her. Like she kind of reminds me of Lola when Lola tries to get her way. That's like Lisa, but she's more like a practical side of being selfish and stuck up when she wants to do things her way. So yeah, I didn't really think about that until you pointed that out. Like, yeah, that's definitely a weakness of hers, that she's very, very stuck up and childish when she wants to be. That's a major flaw of hers.
Yeah, and I do wish they had other ideas for plots for her instead of just showing her that she's smart. Because we would by now we know that she's really smart. So I think there should be other plot ideas they could have for her as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. That they do like always keep a pattern with her, like something to do with science. We just had the Flip episode where she experiments on Flip, which is
Yeah.
like, yeah. I don't know how you feel about that episode.
I actually enjoyed that one.
Okay, well, I mean, it's Lisa.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, also the episode is like there's part of it that made me laugh because they just went all the way with it, and also because also like the few things I caught that a lot of people didn't catch, like the doctor Carolinitis' name. They used the name of the doctor who did the naming, like when you have like when they name animals and species, they did that. That was something like only a few people would catch. Like, oh, okay, but it was a funny episode to me, so I really didn't like dislike that one.
That's
Lisa
fair.
and plus Clyde and Lincoln kind of held it together versus the flip side.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, whenever they shoehorn Link into an episode, it makes it better for me than like just having Flip there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about School Shop before we move on?
Let me see. No, I think that's it for now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I really like besides my gripes with Lisa, sometimes this is a really good episode for her, especially because again, this like I think this is one of the first episodes we've had of her where a loud sibling or like a loud family member doesn't show up in the episode. It's just her in the classroom setting. So it was cool to just see a full like solo episode with Lisa and just her class. So I think it was pretty good episode.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one we're going to talk about, which I might have to put a disclaimer here for everybody here. We are going to try not to go into politics territory with this episode because yes, it is a very real episode of the way of society is now with politics. I'm not knowledgeable in politics. I'll try not to talk about politics here, but yes, this is an episode about politics, which is Electshunned. Letty goes toe-to-toe with the mayor in a citywide Royal Woods election. So what'd you think about Electshunned, the Letty episode where she runs for mayor?
Uh, when they started it, it starts kind of funny. Like she just automatically being the mayor's intern, which is like if you just turn in the episode, I thought, did I miss something? Just she's right there being an intern of the mayor. But I like the fact that at the beginning of the episode they set it up where Mayor Davis is not a bad person. They showed that she's kind and would be working with Lenny. Like she'll jump up with Lenny and understand Lenny. They did a good job of setting up that both these characters are not going with for later in the episode. They're not making it where you're gonna have a villain in this episode that's either the mayor or Lenny. Instead, they're gonna have it be Vic, the campaign manager, because he comes in and he's the guy with the he's talking to the mayor, and then Lenny gives her ideas, and he said, "No, we don't like your ideas." And Lenny's like, and the mayor says something like helpful in a way. It's like there's more than just good ideas, but it's kind of like they did a good job of setting at the beginning, and then the rest of the episode is really really fun. Where like because Lenny running for mayor, I like how the family's just like, oh sure, we'll help you out, we'll run for mayor with you. Okay, that's great. And then the mayor sees Lenny giving her and having all these people stare around there like yeah and liking her plans and everything. And they so the mayor takes notices and the campaign manager. This is when it starts getting negative, and it kind of shows like how people do like to tend toward being toward negative things. So then the campaigning gets, but Lenny actually held back until it gets to the point where they insult her, where she feels her family was insulted because the mayor and the campaign manager bring up the family being kicked out from swimming pools and a whole bunch of family history. Like, wow, they just brought it all up. And then Lenny starts to go negative too, and then they kind of go back and forth. I love the Lincoln's ad because it's like the laser mayor and the cats. It's like Lincoln made the funniest ad. I wish those real political ads like that. It'd be funny. And then the one after that with the mayor's one where it's like it made me, the line that made me laugh was like, "She'll drive over your rights and maybe your family." And then eventually it builds up really well and fits into Lenny's character of being mostly a sweet character where she decides when the people in her crowd are like boo and saying things about the mayor, she's like, whoa, the mayor's a good person and I'm sorry I said all those lies and everything, and everybody leaves. And then I don't think he wants Scoot supporting you, so probably was good that she left too. And all this way, and so it was a really good episode. And then a show later on where Vic gets fired and the mayor and Lenny are working together again. It was a really good episode, had funny moments. Rita's moment was weird and funny. She was like chasing the guy in the car. And then they landed in the water. That was funny. It had a lot of funny moments to it. Lola doing things, Lynn and Lana being involved. And of course Lincoln's dad. It was all just a funny episode too.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with all of that. Like before I say what my overall opinions on the episode, I have to point out a continuity corner, as I will say now. All the continuity in this episode was fantastic. Like, I am so happy that the Loud House is finally acknowledging that they could do continuity in the best way possible. Because again, like when the mayor mentioned they got kicked out of the pool, they started a zombie apocalypse. Have you eaten at their restaurant? It's like bad. It's like, yes, I remember all this stuff. Like I remember when they got kicked out of the pool. I remember the zombie apocalypse. I remember this. It's like they actually call back to things that us fans will remember, and we actually will acknowledge it. It's like, yes, you remember the continuity, and like when they said when they did the campaign, like they did the ad with Letty and running over people in the car, they said that she had failed her test 14 times, which is a callback to season 1, Driving Miss Hazy, where she still hasn't passed her driving test. Like, there's a lot of great callbacks in this episode. And again, Rita, the road rage was a callback to the episode No Bus No Fuss, when Rita was taking the kids to school, and she's had like this road rage problem like recently. And so yeah, I just have to applaud the Loud House for finally like embracing continuity, because I praised the Casagrandes that they are top notch with their continuity, and the Loud House is slowly getting there, so maybe they're learning from the Casagrandes. But yes, we appreciate you finally acknowledging the continuity can work in the show and make it great. But yes, this episode, and I'm gonna echo my friend King Mitch 20 on Twitter, who is a huge Letty fan. But like him, I absolutely love this episode. I think it's the best Letty episode to date, just because it really like highlights Letty's strengths as a character. Like, again, like they could have like had it where Letty has dumb ideas, like her ideas didn't work, but she actually had good ideas that would really benefit the town. Like, the tax-free day at the mall and some other things that she mentioned was like really really good ideas that would actually benefit everybody. And I know like in the episode they're all like laughing at her, thinking, oh well, she can't run for mayor, but like she knew her stuff, and that was great. And having the family support her, like Lola being her campaign manager, like Lola is always great in anything she does. So I always love when Lola shows up, and like, again, Lincoln's little ad he did with the cats, like wonderful, like everything in this episode is great. And again, like, I don't want to go into politics, but the satire is just too relatable, especially like at the end where, again, like everybody was booing Mayor Davis, and Letty's like, no, like that's not true. Like, I'm tired of lying. Like, I want to tell the truth. I want to say what's on my mind and stop like digging up dirt on Mayor Davis. I want to tell how I feel, but like the audience was like, nah, and walked away. Like, that's just too real of our society of nobody wants to listen to somebody who's truthful. Like, nobody really cares if you're telling the truth or being honest about yourself. That's just too real on life. But yeah, I love that Letty got to be the intern for the mayor. Like you, I was like, wait, huh? Like, where did this come from? Did we miss an episode? But it's cool that Letty like got this internship for some reason. I don't know how she did, but it's great for her to have this besides the job at the mall and still working for Mayor Davis. Like, maybe, like, I know she fired her campaign manager. Maybe in the future, Lenny might become her campaign manager after the internship. I don't know if they're going with that. Like, they're going with that moving forward, but it would be a great opportunity for Lenny to become her campaign manager, which would be awesome, because again, Lenny like really had good ideas that Mayor Davis actually embraced in the end. So yeah, like I think this is the best Lenny episode to date, because they really like develop her character and give her strengths, and really show that like she's still a really sweet character, but when she could get like dirty, like when she was digging up dirt and she could be like malicious like that, was great. But like also again, like she's super smart and knows what she's doing. I think like that it's great. Like I love this episode. I think it's a great episode for Lenny.
Yeah, it was really sweet for her, and also I would have laughed if they had made her the mayor permanently. I knew they wouldn't have, but it would have been like the Nickelodeon version of Doug, where where they did switch mayors in the show. I would have laughed that they made Lenny the mayor. I know they wouldn't have done it, but I would have been like, what? Hold on, wait a minute. That would have been funny to me, but I'm glad they but it was still a great episode. It did show her strength. Again, it was really good at showing her strength. Lenny has really good plot lines in the show that they can work with her character. It's really nice they can do that.
Yeah, like I was thinking that maybe she would become mayor, but maybe once she took on the responsibilities and like they told her, oh, you can't see your family anymore, or you can't go to the mall anymore, you have responsibilities now, that maybe it would let her decide to quit. But I'm glad they didn't actually make her mayor, because again, she's only 17. I don't know how she was able to run, but like the logic behind that is somewhere like nobody batted an eye on, why is the 17-year-old running for mayor? Like, shouldn't anybody be questioning this? But like I'm glad at least she got this internship and is still working with the mayor. And maybe they'll bring this back eventually. You know, like I know she has her job at the mall, but maybe this is something where she could take on this opportunity once she turns 18 or something. But I hate to say this, but because Lori's moved away, I'm really glad they've kind of focused on Lenny being the oldest in the family and giving her more opportunities to shine as like an older, sibling in the family, but also taking on more opportunities than just what she has right now. Like, I've really enjoyed Lenny's growth in the show. Like she's come a long way. So I can't praise the episode enough for doing a great, like, again, I love Boss Baby. That's a great episode. Just again, we needed that episode to show Lenny as the oldest in the family now since Lori's gone. But this really like sold me on Lenny being one of my favorite characters now. And I can't wait to see what else they do this season with her.
Yeah, me too. And it's like Boss Maybe, set up the pitch, and this episode knocked it out of the park. That's more on that. They're developing her really well, and did a great job on it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about Electshunned before we move on?
Um, Not really. Oh, yeah, not really. Yeah, I think I did everything. Yeah.
Okay, alright. Then we'll move on to the Casagrandes, who had a new episode on Friday as well. So let's talk about the first episode, which is Fool's Gold. When they find a treasure map, the Casagrandes go on a wild search for Pachavia's lost gold. So what do you think about Fool's Gold, the treasure map episode?
I know Casagrandes is like doing this more than Loud House, where they do this the aesthetic of comic stuff. So I really liked in the episode you saw like when Carl was playing fake soccering, you saw like the words pop up and the other crashes and stuff come. That was really fun. This episode was really fun. I really enjoyed seeing the Casagrande boys and the guys together and just doing something together. I also found it sweet that Hector kept that bottle that he had from his first date with Rosa for like for tons of decades. It was really sweet of him to do that, but it is funny he forgot. And the whole episode was just like really fun, energetic episode. Everybody going there looking for the clues. I had laughed a lot of times when the guy got picked up by the birds, which this town is really weird with its animals. Like the rats were able to come together and like the cats do and do horrible, disturbing things. The rats took that guy away. That was randomly funny. Also, in Carlos fighting a squid, that just made me laugh, and he won too. Like he won beating up the squid, and then the energy of the episode. Then when Hector accidentally texts everybody that wasn't Rosa, and everybody gets into the whole little fight looking for the gold. That was really funny, and then. So the whole episode just had a whole bunch of energy. It was funny and had a lot of greatness. Plus, it was just there was the one-liners that were fun too, and it was just like everything in this episode was just really funny to watch and complete from the beginning. Joy to watch from the beginning to end.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think, overall, all of these four episodes they all knocked it out of the park. Like, I'm not, like, again, like, I'm not really a big fan of the episodes they've been doing lately with no Roddy in it, because Roddy is my favorite character. So, like, having two episodes back to back where she's not in them was kind of disappointing, but, like, these were, like, the two, like, the guy night adventure episodes with all the guys in them. But it was pretty cool, like, the four of them, like, this pairing was very interesting with, like, Carl, CJ, Hector, and Carlos. Because, yeah, like, Carlos is getting a bunch this season. Carl always gets, like, all kinds of spotlight. CJ, we haven't seen in a while, and Hector, of course, so it was pretty cool with that. And again, yeah, this was a very entertaining episode. Like, I love the twist at the end. Like, I did not see that coming. Like, Hector, again, he's super old. He probably didn't remember that this was, like, some kind of, like, offer that they had, like, at Pachavia's Tacos, not Pachavia the person. Because, like, when I talked about it in Casa Live, I was actually kind of confused about the ending. So I was like, wait, so, okay, so, like, Hector didn't know that, like, this was actually a thing that happened where him and Rosa went on their first date at Pachavia's Tacos, and he kept this whole, like, I guess, like, campaign they did, like, to get coupons for the tacos, and then, like, you would think that, like, Becca Chang, who works at the zoo, would have found the treasure by now, because, like, it's dug deep in the zoo. Like, did anybody check that? Like, it's just so funny that nobody realized that was there the whole time. But yeah, like again, really funny episode. Like, all the visual gags are great this episode. Again, Carlos, like, when he gets the squid, don't mess with Carlos, man. And like the rats coming back, and again, the continuity callback, of course, of season 1, where Hector said that that his 4-time great grandfather rode with Pachavilla. Again, Casagrandes always consistent with their continuity. Also, call back to Bad Cluck, where again Hector texting the whole town instead of just Rosa like he always does. But like, I kind of wish in this episode we could have saw the entire Casagrande family and the Santiagos at the zoo than just all these other random people. Like, again, like, we saw, like, Maybell, and we saw Mr. Nakamura, and we saw, like, some other randomos, like, Parr was there for some reason, Mr. Scully was there for some reason, Becca Chang, Stanley Chang, like, all these other random characters just popped up, and it's like, why isn't, like, the other Casagrande family members there, like, like, we'll talk about it in the other episode, but, like, it's just so weird that, like, they included, like, the side characters, but I really wish the whole family could have been involved in the storyline, because when we first heard about season 2, this episode was mentioned, and I was like, oh, well, it's going to be like a fun adventure story with all the Casagrandes, right? Nah, just 4 of them. And not like any of the other family members, just like the other random side characters who just pop up just because they want the gold. Like, it was so weird, but like, what can you do, missed opportunity? But no, I mean, it was a really funny episode, like, very engaging. Like, again, I was worried that I wouldn't be engaged in these episodes because, again, no Roddy in it, but, I want to try to enjoy these episodes for what they are, and yeah, it was a very funny episode because these 4 characters really make it engaging, so, yeah, no, really, a really funny episode. Like, I this was a very good episode. I really liked this one.
Yeah, and it was also fun. What was it? Oh, okay, yeah. I was also wondering, like, they also, I think it would have been interesting. I think he might have forgot to text his family. That could be a fun way to decided they forgot about texting everybody in his family, text everybody else but his family, because that could have happened. It was also just kind of fun to see the how they interact with each other, the four of them interact with each other, because like one of my favorite lines was like when the ball was on top of the building, and Carl says to Carlos, "Go get it, Dad," and then Carlos goes up and says to Hector, "Yeah, go get it, Dad." That made me laugh.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the interactions. It's really funny. But let's see. Is there anything else you want to say about Fool's Gold?
Not really, no.
Okay, and then we'll move on to the final episode, which is Flight Plan. Frida and Carlos go on a fancy plane ride, but Carl, CJ, and Carlitos try to sneak on for an adventure of their own. So what do you think about Flight Plan? This is probably my favorite episode of the night, but what do you think about this one?
It was fun too. So again, this time we just had the 3 Casa Grande boys, and then they were a really fun team together. I loved Carlitos' expressions in this episode. It was really cute and fun to see him do that. Carlota and Carlos are a sweet couple together. That was like a nice gift. They got each other nice gifts, and all the fun things about the episode. Then the 3 boys trying to figure out how to, because they really want to be on this plane and they couldn't be on it. So these 3 babysitters they found some creative ways to get rid of them, which was just made me laugh. And of course, I wonder what poor Maybell's doing, because she's gonna get her date probably.
Yeah.
And then of course they make it to there because they finally get to, but then they found out they can't ride on that plane. We never get to see that plane though. Like, you never got to see we don't get to see those 2 on the plane. I thought you had it in the title card right there. I at least wanted to see them on a plane.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like, we never got to see Carlos and Frida on the plane that they were going on. It's on the title card. That's so weird. Like, I guess they just didn't have any more time, but that's just where we didn't get to see them,
Yeah. And then they get on the self-flying plane, which someone just left unattended, ready to go, and they fly around. The plane was just messy with Carl, though. It was just messy with Carl. That was funny too. And then again, the stuff on the plane was funny. The floating, Carlitos doing what he was doing, that was funny. It was just, and then of course Carl had to apologize to the plane. It was like, okay, fine, you can I'll make it. And then the AI comes back in the self-driving taxi, and they're screaming and crying. And then when Carlota and Carlos comes back from, not Carlota, dang.
Yeah, Carlota wasn't in this episode.
Now.
Carlota wasn't in this episode.
Frida, dang. Frida and Carlos were in this, and when they came back, they're wondering why their kids are crying and hugging them. Say, well, just let it go. It's fine. That's all right. Um, and then also Stanley Chang was a funny episode. He really likes talking about trains. It's like he's really devoted to his train. Then he kind of has that was funny too because they keep having to come back to when the kid got rid of the babysitters. It was funny.
Yeah, no, I wanted to. Yes, so I actually wanted to point it out because, like, in this episode, Carlota was in the beginning of the episode with the family, giving Frida her anniversary gift, right? And then Carlota just disappears for the rest of the episode. Like, I get that they needed to write Carlota out of the episode, but the fact that you included Carlota in the beginning raises more questions than answers because, like, when when Carlos and Frida are looking for people to babysit, Carl, CJ, and Carlitos, Frida says something like this. She says like, "Oh, well, thank you." I think it was Miranda was the first one. She said, "Oh, thank you." No, it was Mr. Nakamura. She said, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Nakamura, for babysitting. The entire family was busy." And I'm like, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe the entire Casagrande family is busy. Like, what would Rosa be doing? Cooking? That's not busy. What would Ronnie Ann be doing? Hanging out with Sid? No. I think Ronnie Ann and Sid could probably babysit Carl, CJ, Carlitos. Or, like have the boys hang out in the Mercado with Bobby. Like, I'm sure Bobby needs more help in the Mercado. Like, I don't believe for 1 second that the entire Casagrande family was busy. But again, and if Carlota wasn't there in the beginning, I'm sure Carlota could have babysat the boys. But like like you didn't have to include that line, the whole family being busy. Like, I get it, they had to write the whole family out of the episode. But you did have, like, you could have, Frida could have, like, pushed that line out. Like, they could have not had that line and we wouldn't be questioning it. But the fact they said, like, oh, the whole family's busy, like, no, I don't believe that. I believe Ronnie is not busy right now. I don't believe that Rose is busy, or vice versa. Yeah, no, the boys could probably go somewhere else. But they needed to do that for the episode. But overall, this is probably my favorite episode of Friday. Because the boys, Carl, CJ, and Carlitos, seeing all three of them together, finding ways to get onto the plane by, like, stopping their babysitters. Like, all the creative ways they were able to get their babysitters to leave. Like, Mr. Nakamura with his, like, dolls, which he shouldn't bring over dolls if he doesn't want them to play with them. Like, that's on you, Mr. Nakamura, for doing that. And then Scary Miranda with the horror movie, like, and I love all the references, like, Carlitos crawling on the wall was like a reference to Alien, and CJ was like with the Exorcist and stuff, which is pretty cool. I think Carl was like a werewolf. He was like doing Teen Wolf or something, but that was pretty cool. And then like Maybelle, poor Maybelle. I feel bad for Maybelle. I don't know what happened with her after she tried to have a dinner with her crush, her celebrity crush. So I don't know if I'll ever see Maybelle again, but yeah, like, it was kind of a disappointment that, like, we didn't get to see Carlos and Frida on the plane, even though they hyped it up and on the title card, and yet we always saw the boys on the self-flying plane. I guess they didn't have any time to show Carlos and Frida on the plane. But yeah, no, I think that the talking plane / taxi is like the best character in the Casagrandes. Just the way that she was so sassy towards Carl, and like when the boys were crying and being like, "We want to get off the plane," she's like, "Oh," she's like, "I want to hear an apology from Carl. I'm sorry, okay? All right." Like, that was really funny. And yeah, like the boys apologizing to Carlos and Frida. And they're like, what do we do? And Frida's like, just let it happen. I love Carlos and Frida. They're super adorable together. Like, Frida's my favorite Casagrande. I guess that's why this is my favorite episode of the night, just because I love Frida and, like, anything. So seeing, like, Carlos getting excited about the gift she gave him and, like, jumping into her arms and spinning around and being so cute together, like, Carlos being so excited to get on the plane, like, bouncing up and down, like, it was so cute. Like, I love Carlos and Frida so much. But the episode overall was, like, really fun, and I really liked seeing Carl, CJ, and Carlitos as a pair, because, like, Carlitos, he's very expressive for a baby, and even though he doesn't talk, like Lily, it's cool to see, like, Carlitos be more expressive and, like, because mostly his thing was just, like, copying other people. So it's cool that Carlitos can have, like, again, a mischievous side because of Carl. But, like, the thing is, like, CJ, for example, CJ's, like, 13 years old. And yet, like, I remember, like, Nat pointed this out in the Casa Live where like in Spies Who Love Me, they actually have like CJ watch the baby for them when they go out to like spy on Ronnie Ann. But then here they need like a babysitter for all three of them. I don't know why CJ can't watch Carl and Carlitos, but then again, you see why. Like, I think Carl is a terrible influence on CJ and Carlitos. Hence why they need a babysitter, because wow, like, they're all, like, very mischievous, and, you know, like, sometimes I don't like in episodes, like, in Flea Market, where the kids act super duper childish and annoying just for the sake of the plot. Like, I still hate that episode just because Roddy is super childish. I don't like seeing that side of her much, but like in this episode they made it work just because of how funny it was seeing all the boys trying to get their babysitters to leave and then eventually get on the plane. But yeah, no, I think this is probably my favorite episode, like of that week, because yeah, I definitely loved everything about this episode. It was really funny, really engaging, and yeah, I think the episode overall just, it's really great. I really liked it.
Yeah, I actually kind of think I was thinking about like the others not being around them, but like if Ronnie Ann was babysitting them, they wouldn't be able to trick her as well. Neither would they wouldn't be able, definitely able to trick Rosa at all. They might be able to get Hector if like let him fall asleep. We can end up like the Rugrats just run out themselves. But like a lot of the background, a lot of like Carlotta probably wouldn't let them go through either. They kind of probably know their tricks more than like the random neighbors do. I think that's why they kind of put it that way. The line was unnecessary, but I still feel that they probably did it because that someone at least knows that these characters would probably know that their tricks more than the outsiders would, and that's why I think they did it that way.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. I mean, I think I can see, like, I think Carl would be able to trick Ronnie Ed because he has multiple times. Like in Walk Don't Run, he was like, "Okay, give me $5, I'll give back Lalo," and she's like, "Okay," and then gives the money. He's like, "Nice doing business with you." Like, I think Ronnie is pretty easy to trick. Not gonna lie. But yeah, like you're right about that. Like I think with Rosa, no, like she would be Hector. Yes, I mean, if Hector, but then again, it's like okay, but why not Hector? Because we just had an episode where Hector was paired with Carl and CJ, so you know. But again, you're right. You know, it was just their way of saying like if we had an episode where like all the other Casagrandes babysat the boys, then they probably wouldn't get away with what they did this episode versus the random characters they picked in this episode. So you're right about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I did like I think this was a really fun one too. I really enjoyed this one, kind of as much more. I think I enjoyed the other one more, but I did enjoy this one. It was kind of fun to see them together and have, especially these three, because they're fun brothers together too. It was just nice to see these three boys. Carl is a bad influence on everybody, though. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was pretty interesting again just to have two back-to-back episodes with like no Rodian mention and no Rodian whatsoever. Like, you know, I like again, like I'm surprised that they've actually did this earlier on than like Loud House. Like it took them till season 3 to have their first episode with no Lincoln, and then like at the Casagrandes, they tried it out with Uptown Funk with no Rodian in the episode, and they made that work. So it was like, okay, well, we can just do it early on. We don't have to have Roddy in every single episode, which is pretty cool that they could do that. Yeah, while I'm not a fan of most of them, like the Carl one or you know the Carlota one, I was like the CJ one, I wasn't really engaged without Roddy in, but these two actually they really made it work. So I think they're you know improving on what they can do without Roddy in every single episode. But then again, you know next week she's gonna be having a ton of episodes with her in it, so I think she needed a little break. But yeah, no, both of these episodes were both really good, I would say.
Yeah. Next week she's gonna be an utter mess.
Oh yeah, it's bad enough because not just other mess, but teachers fret the one where she has to watch her dad date her teacher. Like Tuesday's gonna be like she's gonna be an utter mess on both of those episodes. So like I'm worried about her safe. I'm worried about her health. That's for sure. Oh my god. But yeah, no, they definitely made it work with 2 episodes without her in it. But yeah, I really again all 4 of those episodes were really great. I would say like definitely all solid episodes back to back, just great episodes. But yes, but now we're going to be jumping over to Monday, where we had 2 more brand new episodes of The Loud House that aired before the game show tuned in. which, Tuned In's been having new episodes, and it's a game show where they test your knowledge on cartoons and stuff. And the first night for Tuned In, they have like pictures in the background of all the shows they do. And the one kid, Logan, who won that night, he was standing behind a Lincoln and Ronnie Ann picture. So I'm like, good on you, Logan. You chose the right spot. But yes, we'll talk about the Loud House ones. So the first one is Zack Attack. Zack and Rusty fake an alien landing that sends the whole town on a hunt for little green men. So Skylar, I saw your icon is Zack on Twitter, so I figured you really liked the Zack Attack episode.
Yeah, I really did. It's like it's one episode I actually gave 10 out of 10. It was really fun episode. First off, I like seeing like Zach's expression at the beginning was really fun. He was like having his best day ever. He was gonna go out. He found out aliens were coming. I liked the plot idea too, like him and aliens. It was funny. It was funny time to have Zach have something happen with him in the episode. And then he goes to school and has gives out the party stuff and is ready to go. And then the whole episode itself was really just energetic and fun. I was like, because I usually watch the episodes live on TV, and then so I usually, and sometimes I live tweet the episodes, but this time like I couldn't even live tweet. I was like just too engrossed in having fun with the episode. They had a great mixture of the background characters too. They had girl Jordan back. They had Emma, the girl that Clyde liked for a while. They had and it was just a whole bunch of energy in the episode, and then I liked the shading and the coloring of the episode. It was, and of course Zach and his parents are fun. Because Zach's parents are just really fun. Everybody likes his mom's cookies, apparently. And it was just, and the plot itself, like, because there's a lot of tension in the episode, too. Like, you don't know what the town was going to do, because the town just believed that the aliens landed, and they were like, oh my gosh. And then they actually believed Zach's parents about the idea, like, they could be human somewhere, and they were just running around panicking. It was really fun. It had, like, an energetic B-movie style feeling to it, where, like, everybody was just on panic. Zach was building up his worry because he knew this was not true. He knew there was no aliens. He was trying everything, and then the whole episode just worked out really well there. And it was just, and also at the end, they used Flip in a good way too, because Zach had admitted that everything was fake and everything was kind of going, but it was going to be like one of those resolutions where it just ended that way. But then Flip doing the fake UFO thing was kind of sweet in a way, even though he was doing it on his own needs. But it was kind of nice to help Zach out in a way, because Zach was like, because I like to see the still right there. It was really, really just a fun episode throughout.
Yeah, like, this is gonna be, like, I guess hypocritical of me, but I'm not gonna lie, the flip ending got a chuckle out of me. Like, that was really well done. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I actually really laughed at that, because, like, again, I'm not a huge fan of Flip, but, like, when they actually use him for good jokes like that, like him at the end, like, that caught me off guard. Like, I legit thought there was actually gonna be real aliens in this episode, but, like, that ending guy with Flip made it work. Like, I was like, okay, well, all right, that was pretty funny. But yeah, no, like, I'm surprised he gave us a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm usually not one to give episodes 10 out of 10. Like, I don't, like, there's only one episode of The Loud House I gave a 10 out of 10 to, which was Game Off, because that episode was, like, exceeded my expectations higher than, like, any episodes done before. But yeah, like, this episode was really fun, just because, again, it's nice to see that, like, they actually are giving characters like Zach more focus, like the side characters giving their own episodes, because we had a Liam episode, or 2 Liam episodes actually. This season we had one. We had a Stella episode, we've had Clyde episodes, Lincoln episodes, and it's cool that they paired like Zach and Rusty, because like they got like a little like, I guess, friendship rivalry thing going on between the two. But it was cool that it wasn't just like Zach and Rusty like for the whole episode. They had the whole gang in the episode. And again, like, bringing back girl Jordan and again, Emma, Clyde's crush from, like, the dance episode. I kind of wish we would have saw, like, Chloe again. But it's cool that, like, they remembered Emma and Chandler. I am so tired. Okay. Like, my hate for Flip has lowered, but my hate for Chandler has gone higher. Like, every time I see Chandler, I just sigh, like, oh my god, here we go again. I just hate Chandler so much. Like, every time he shows up, I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. But like, I definitely agree, because like, I love sci-fi B movies, just like those cheesy sci-fi 50s movies. Like, I'm a huge fan of that aesthetic, so I love how this episode kind of went about that. It kind of reminded me of the the zombie apocalypse episode from season 4 with Lincoln and Clyde, where they caused an entire it's like scared the entire town of zombie apocalypse. And like this episode, like Zach scared the entire town by thinking aliens were coming. So like it's another disaster on Royal Woods there. But yeah, no, I think it was pretty fun, and I love that the gang helped out Zach in the end by I loved Stella, Liam, and I think either Rusty or someone else dressed up as the aliens.
Rusty.
Rusty, yeah. No, I love that. I love them dressed up as the aliens. That was really funny. And yeah, like like Zach's not my favorite of the gang members, but like it was pretty cool just to get an episode about him. I love how it opens up with him being like, this is gonna be the best day ever, seeing his room and be excited about looking for aliens and this party he's gonna have and invite everybody to come. And yeah, no, I thought it was a really good episode. Like again, like the satire of, again, cheesy 50s sci-fi movies is like, I love that anytime a TV show does that, because I'm a sucker for that kind of aesthetic. So yeah, no, I really like this episode. I'd like to see more Zach episodes like this in the future.
Yeah, me too. I also was thinking, like, I don't give a lot of episodes 10 out of 10. Like, my favorite episode was Cover Girls, and I think this episode gave me kind of the same feeling when I was watching, because it's like, I was just enjoying this. The episode had, like, background characters eye candy for me, because I love the background characters on the show. I don't know why. A lot of shows don't do that with me, but this one, I really love seeing side characters, so it was, like, fun seeing, of course, Girl Jordan and Emma and Trent and Richie and the girl without the name. It was just really fun. Her expressions are funny. And now I'm actually a little bit different on this one. I'm not dislike Chandler. In fact, I think in this episode, though, I think it worked well, because you kind of need someone to be a skeptic of what's going on, because the town was invested in this idea of the aliens being around, and then Lincoln and his friends in the background were also kind of invested in it. Of course, Zach knew what was going on already, and Rusty kind of knew, but Rusty was like kind of selling them out a little bit, like, look what you did, Zach. And then, but Chandler was kind of there to be the good skeptic of, like, to kind of ground the episode a little bit, to have like a little bit of skepticism in there. I think that's what I think worked out really well for it too, was to have that kind of balance with the characters, like someone being skeptical, the town just going wild with it, and then friends working in the other way. And I think it kind of had a really well balanced feeling to it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree on that. Like, again, I'm not really a big fan of Chandler, honestly, but I do agree that Chandler needed to be that balance of, oh, I don't believe in this, but then once, everybody's convinced that, that the aliens are real, it's like, oh, well, I was wrong about it. Like, I love that in the end he was, like, shocked that, the aliens could be real, but of course it was flipped. But, I love that, like, again, like, the whole town was, like, freaking out about it. I love the shots of, like, the Lau family just, like, locking themselves away in the house with the boards up and everything, like an apocalypse happening and something. But I was like, wait, so if the family's locking themselves away, don't they realize that Lincoln is out there and could potentially, get, like, captured by an alien or something? Like, I wonder if they knew if Lincoln. Also, like, it was so random, but like, this is like a blink and you'll miss it moment. But once, like, there's a scene where, like, Zach is talking to the crowd about the aliens being real, and in one shot you see Lori in the crowd, and I'm like, wait, like, Lori? What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be at college? Like, does this episode take place on the weekend? Like, does she have a day off from school? I was like, what is Lori doing here? It's just so random. But I guess they just needed people for the background, but they totally forgot Lori's in college. But yeah, no, I like, besides, like, the things like, again, Chandler and some other things, but, this is a really good episode. Like, it was, again, very, very engaging, and again, they use Flip in a good way. Like, I don't like when they use Flip in a bad way, but this was like, like, you actually made Flip funny again, and you actually made me, like laugh at something Flip did. So, like, again, and making a good first Zach Focus episode. So yeah, no, I definitely think it was a really fun episode.
Yeah, Flip is like Sergio, where they go a little bit better, and a little bit of them goes a long way. And, on the Lori thing, obviously the answer is aliens. That was alien Lori, obviously there.
Alien
I saw
Lori.
It right there.
Alien Lori.
That was obviously alien Lori.
There's actually real aliens, and she was just an alien disguise. I totally believe that.
That's alien Lori.
Alien Lori. That's the new conspiracy theory. Lori is just secretly an alien.
I
Oh,
saw her there. I saw her there saying, "Oh, hey, Lori, how you doing? You having a good day? You want to see the aliens too?" I like
yeah,
understanding. I like understanding there too. Like the aliens are walking to them. Like they're not terrified. They're just standing there. Chandler's eating. Like I would actually, to be fair, I would do the same thing. I'd be like just eating. Like, oh, look, the aliens are coming. And
yeah,
this is
like
like it's just really funny to see that the reactions. Like the aliens are. They think the aliens are walking toward them. They're not even freaking out.
yeah, that was the thing. Like when the aliens did appear, like when Zach was introducing them to the aliens, they weren't even freaking out. They're just like, "Oh hey, aliens, that's cool." Like what? Weren't you guys just terrified that aliens were coming? Then all of a sudden they're here and they're like, "Oh hey, aliens, that's neat." Like it's so weird. Like the scene where all the people were freaking out about the aliens. It actually kind of reminded me of not just the zombie apocalypse episode, but Muppets from Space. If you're a Muppet fan, it actually kind of reminded me a lot of Muppets from Space, where like the whole like crowd and the Muppets are like waiting for the aliens to come because Gonzo's gonna bring his family from space because he thinks he's an alien. So like they're all like wondering if the aliens are real now and waiting for them. That's what it kind of reminded me of in that way too. Just I was like, oh great, now I'm reminded of Muppets from Space. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but yeah, no, I just yeah, like why did they react when they saw the aliens? Like they were all freaking out. And all of a sudden, oh hey, aliens. That's neat. It's so weird.
Like also like when they barricaded themselves in the house because Mr. Grouse did it too. It said, they just thought the aliens vaporized their spaceship and ingrained themselves in society. They could vaporize these houses, though. You're not safe, guys. You're just and Mr. Grouse is sticking his head out the door out the window. Like that's not helping yourself, Mr. Grouse. So that was funny too.
Yeah, like when they were barricading the houses, like the Louds barricade their house with like the wood on their houses, and like I saw like Luann and Lola peeping out. It's like, guys, you're not safe in there. You
That was
could.
funny.
It's so weird. Like they don't know what to do. It's so like yeah, those were funny visuals.
And the one house said had a sign that said "Keep out." Well, that'll
Yeah,
keep the aliens away. Just
yeah,
keep out.
sure. That's totally gonna keep people out, especially aliens.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
there's so
might be
much.
aliens, but they're not rude.
Oh my god. Yeah, no. Well, now we're talking about it. Like I'm thinking about it now. It's a funny episode. Just the idea of the town thinking, "Oh yeah, this is a good idea. Just barricade our houses, put a sign up. That'll keep them away." All right. So, is there anything else you want to say about this episode before we move on to the final episode?
Uh, So it was just a really fun episode. I'm glad it was enjoyable because I wasn't know what to expect from it. It was really fun to watch. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to this episode because I'm not really as engaged in like Zach as a character, but they made a really good episode, very funny and very engaging. So I agree. All right, so the final episode we're going to talk about today is Flying Solo. Clyde thinks that he's a shoo-in for the Glee Club solo until Lincoln accidentally auditions and lands the part. So I'm gonna have a lot to say about this episode, and I want to, I'm not gonna say how I feel about this episode, but I would like you to go first. I like you to go first. What'd you think about Flying Solo?
All right. First off, it was nice to see Paula again. It was interesting to see them in a Glee club. I wasn't expecting that, and then the other three because they used the other plot with the other part of the half with the characters Stella, not Liam, Stella, Zach, and Rusty in the home ec club with Mr. Bolhoffner, who that man has seen things. Um, so it was fun. It was an interesting episode to see, and then it's mostly from Clyde's point of view, where Clyde has been practicing all this whole entire month of stuff while and everyone else, and he was wanted his solo part, and then Lincoln does this beautiful singing and makes everybody just like they want him, and it really kind of shows that like the idea of where they went with the plot was the idea that sometimes even if you train hard enough, sometimes someone will have a more automatic talent to something.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just shows that Clyde, in a way, felt that his jealousy just kind of got the best of him in a way where he just felt that he worked hard for something and didn't get what he wanted, and he felt that it was kind of just taken from him, and he felt horrible. And then, then after he sabotaged Lincoln's voice, which was a little dark there, like it just made him lose his voice, and but then, of course, because it's Clyde, and they know Clyde very well as a character, they made him where he automatically had automatic guilt, felt horrible about it, couldn't focus, couldn't do anything. And also, they kind of did the karma thing where, like, Paul and everybody else was unintentionally, because they didn't know what he did, messing with him and having him hit the wall and everything. And it's kind of like that. Clyde kind of understood that he did something, like when he understood that he was kind of being selfish because this is about the school glee club trying to go to the next level in this contest or whatever. He felt bad that he screwed it up for like everyone else, like the kid who wants his ex back and stuff, and he felt kind of bad. That's when he went back to Lincoln, and it was kind of like, it was a really well done episode. It shows that jealousy doesn't really is a horrible thing, and it shows that it happens. It also shows that sometimes, even if you work hard on something, that sometimes someone might have something better than you anyway. That was a really good episode for the message of it.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna have a lot of negative things to say about Clyde on this podcast, so just be warned about that. Like, you know, like valid points, but like, you know, so here's the thing, like, you know, again, I did like this episode. I was excited for it just because, again, I loved Lincoln singing in school, so I was really excited to see Lincoln singing again because his voice actor Ashton Bishop is a professionally trained singer. So the fact that we keep getting to see Lincoln sing in the show is just like, you know, like icing on the cake for me. So like, you know, seeing him like do the little solo was like really adorable, and everybody getting all starry eyed, and like Liam like, did you know he had the voice of an angel? I'm like, same. And like the scene where Clyde made Lincoln stake 99 bottles of beer on the wall, like that was really great. And like the fact that he made all his friends like fall asleep was so funny. But yeah, and of course the ending, the Clink and McCloud duet, absolutely beautiful. I love that. But Clyde, oh boy, Clyde, where do I begin on you in this episode? So okay, here's the thing. Like, this is another situation where it's a Saved by the Spell situation where you understand why Clyde has these motives. Because again, like, yes, he practiced, he spent the whole time practicing. He worked so hard on this. He thought he did well, and he worked really hard. And where Lincoln is already skilled at this, like he already showed up everybody, or showed up him, like thinking he showed up him, and the teacher was like, "Oh my gosh, who's saying that? You get the part." And Lincoln, like, to his credit though, Lincoln actually didn't want the part though. Like, Lincoln actually stood up for Clyde and said, "Hey, like, what if somebody who's been practicing really hard actually should get it, you know?" Like, it would have been, like, you know, I feel like this episode could have been better if, like, Lincoln actually did want the solo. If Lincoln actually wanted the solo, then Clyde's motives would have been more justified. But I also kind of get it, you know, like Clyde was super jealous of, hey, I worked so hard on this, and I can't believe somebody who's already more skilled than me and didn't do much in terms of practicing got the part, because I get that that's very realistic, because, you know, like, in certain ways, like, we all get jealous of somebody who we think is better than us. So, like, if we're like, you know, practicing really hard on something, and we think we've worked so hard, only to see somebody who, again, is either, like, super lazy, like, Lincoln only, like, bragged about playing video games, and he already knows how to sing really well. It's like, well, they're super lazy, and I've worked so hard for this. How come somebody who, like, didn't do as much as I can get something so easily that I can? Like, that's totally totally relatable and understandable in Clyde's motives. But the fact that Clyde thought that, okay, well, if I make Lincoln lose his voice, then I'll get the solo. And again, like, in Saved by the Spell, when, like, the gang is saying, we can't let Lincoln do this magic thing, Clyde actually throughout the entire episode felt horrible for doing this. Like, even in the beginning of that episode, he was like, but guys, this is scheming, and I don't want to be involved in scheming, like in the beginning of the episode. But in this episode, he was like, oh, well, you know, like, I'm upset that Lincoln got this, so I'll break his voice, you know. And he didn't feel bad until he got the solo. And the thing was, I feel like he didn't like actually feel bad at all. Like, during the time he was, like, you know, making Lincoln lose his voice, he actually didn't feel bad until the karma got onto him that, like, oh, well, he's a terrible singer. He can't sing in the right key, and he's messing up on it. He can't remember, you know, the solo. He can't remember the line. Like, I kind of wish there could have been more of an emphasis on, well, okay, maybe he's messing up because he feels guilty, but I feel like he wasn't guilty until the teacher pointed out how terrible he was. And then he's like, guys, he's like, oh no, well, I know what to do now. I need to get Lincoln back because clearly I can't do this. You know, like, I kind of wish there could have been more, like, it's Saved by the Spell, like, the entire episode, Clyde felt horrible for scheming, but then in this episode, it wasn't until the karma got got to him where he said, "Oh wait, well, obviously I'm terrible at this, so I need to get Lincoln back." And again, like Lincoln did, forgive him and hugged him, which was really sweet. But again, I'm just so conflicted because, again, it's like Saved by the Spell, where it's Saved by the Spell. You understand why the friends feel the way they do, because, like, oh, if Lincoln does this magic thing, he's going to embarrass himself, or i.e. embarrass us. So we don't want that. So we don't want him to practice. We don't want him to do his magic and to sabotage him and think that, oh, it's going to ruin his reputation. And here, like, Clyde is like, oh, well, I worked so hard, so how come I didn't get the part and Lincoln did? Oh, so I'm going to, like, make him sing so much it's gonna break his voice, and then I'll get the solo. Like, again, like, you're conflicted because you want to sympathize, you want to relate to how Clyde feels in this episode, because I get it, I totally get it, like, I totally feel the same way. But the fact that he decided that he wanted to literally have Lincoln lose his voice just so he could get the part was really just super selfish and on Clyde's part. Like, I've never seen Clyde be this selfish. Like, like, some people will say, well, what about Lincoln? And it's like, I get it, because, like, we've seen Lincoln be super selfish in episodes, and that's part of his character. But Clyde, I just don't feel like it would be something he would do. Because, like, okay, like, he wants to just do this so to get the solo. Like, again, like, his jealousy got the best of him, which I guess is a weakness for him, but it's just something where I just didn't like it. I didn't like the way they went about it. And I know people are going to argue about this, like, well, Clyde was justified in his, jealousy. He was valid to feel that way. I know, he was very valid to feel that way, but I just didn't like the way they went about it, Like, that's the one thing about this episode where, again, it's like Saved by the Spell. I love everything about the episode except the motives of the characters who are focused on it. Like, it kind of makes me feel like, we've been making this joke lately where we're like, Lincoln needs better friends, but, it's just a joke. But, I just didn't, it's hard, because I want to like this episode, but when I think about it with the whole thing with Clyde, it makes me lose my enjoyment of the episode in general, but, it's kind of a mixed bag for me on this episode with Clyde.
Yeah, actually, I kind of see what you mean. Because, like, the episode was showing you, like, the dark side of jealousy, and it says that Clyde just went because his plan really went too far in that, where he was just like, because that was really bad to hurt someone's voice like that. So I really feel that, in a way, it was kind of showing you that jealousy does make people do bad, stupid things they should not do, and it makes you want to feel uncomfortable with Clyde doing that. That Clyde should not have done that. It was just a really horrible thing for him to do, because he was not thinking logically about what he could have done to Lincoln in that case, or anything like that. I think that really showed that he was just not acting like himself. He was just letting something else take over him and not be the way he normally would be. Like, he could have just told Lincoln how he felt, because Lincoln already knew probably how he felt in the first place. They could have worked on the plan of how to make the work out together or something like that. But it just that Clyde got so distracted in his in that he just didn't think about what he was doing. And that was the part of the episode that got to me. It was like, wow, he really did all that just to get the part. And, like, that's the thing that got to me with it. Yeah,
because, like, I kind of wish this episode could have been like, again, Clyde went to Lincoln and said, hey, like, I want to get the solo, and Lincoln's like, yeah, I know you've worked so hard, maybe I can help you. Like, Lincoln, like, I when I first saw the promo, I thought Lincoln was pretending to lose his voice, that way Clyde could get the solo, and that's what I was hoping this episode would have been, where it's like, maybe the reveal was that Lincoln actually the whole time knew Clyde was trying to break his voice, and he was actually pretending to lose his voice, and then was revealed, oh, I was just trying to help you out, buddy, because I know that you wanted this part so badly. But no, like, they actually had Clyde legit, like his jealousy took over, and he actually did do a pretty horrible thing to his friend. Like, I kind of wish somebody in this episode could have, like, called him out for it and been like, hey, like, don't, like, do you know why Lincoln lost his voice, Clyde? It's like, oh, I don't know. And it's like, oh, well, you actually are the one that did this to Lincoln. Why would you do that? You know, like I kind of wish somebody could have called him out for it. But again, it's fine that he realized that he needed to get Lincoln back. But I just kind of wish there could have been more to this episode than just like, oh, Clyde is jealous of Lincoln, and then he does a bad thing, and then he doesn't realize he did the bad thing until he like realizes that, oh, I can't do the solo, I need Lincoln. But in the end, at least Lincoln and Clyde both got to do the solo, which was really nice. But like it's hard because again, like Saved by the Spell, you want to agree with the friend's motives of how they do this, but again with Clyde, it just didn't feel right for his character. It felt out of character for me, for Clyde to feel super jealous of Lincoln and do this to him. Like that's kind of being a horrible friend. Just the fact that you're so jealous of your friend to where you want to literally like have them lose their voice, and then like through the entire episode they actually do get like its voice back. But it's like, didn't anybody question this? Like, how did Lincoln lose his voice? Oh, Clyde, you clearly had Lincoln like literally like you had Lincoln sing 99 bottles of beer on the wall at lunch. Like I think there's something here where it's connected to you, Clyde. But I don't know. I'm just so conflicted on it because I've seen a lot of people really like love this episode. Like I remember a bunch of people actually rated 10 out of 10, and I was like, really? 10 out of 10? Like, I don't think it's a perfect episode, but alright. But like, that's why I don't really rate episodes. I don't like to rate episodes because I don't know how to rate an episode based on, like, if it's a 10 out of 10, to me it's a perfect episode, and I don't think people really think that, but that's just my opinion. That's why I don't like to rate episodes, because like, how am I supposed to know if this is a 10 out of 10 or like a 5 out of 10 or something based on enjoyment? But like, I just wish I enjoyed this episode more than I wanted to. Like I was excited for it. I was waiting to enjoy it, and then when the episode happened, I felt disappointed because of Clyde. And I hate to say that because I love Clyde, but Clyde was the whole reason that this episode fell flat for me. And I just feel bad for being negative about it, but that's just how I feel about it. I just really wish I could have enjoyed this episode more than I wanted to.
Yeah, I see what you mean. There is a lot of like this episode really kind of makes you feel uncomfortable, but when you watch it, because like I originally thought the plot would be like Lincoln and Clyde were competing for the part, not just Lincoln automatically gets out. I thought it would be like it was like that type of where they compete and they get mad at each other or something. I didn't know it would be like the way it went, and that was just a little bit off center for Clyde a little bit because he's usually not like that as much, but it's kind of just really really weird how that happened for him because he was because I didn't want it to be negative for him either, but it just felt that he just did a lot of things that he definitely shouldn't have done. I'm glad he figured out he shouldn't have done it, but it was just really, really just strange for him. But I'm just feeling that maybe that was because he just let jealousy take over, and people will maybe act not like themselves when they're really jealous about something, and he just wasn't thinking. But yeah, it would have been interesting. That I don't know if maybe it was because was paying attention. Like the other ones fell asleep when they were singing a song, and the other ones were too busy like doing the making the Glee Club stuff happen and the costumes. But I think it's just kind of it's an episode that makes you want to think though a lot though.
Yeah, like like the last episode we had, the Resident Upheaval episode. I love that one because again, it was a Lincoln and Clyde competing episode, but you understood why they did the things they did because they were working to get their grandmas into Sunset Canyon, and they were doing it out of the goodness of their hearts for their grandmas. Like they were competing because they cared about their grandmas. And here, like, I really wish it could have been where Lincoln and Clyde were both competing for the solo, because again, Lincoln has a beautiful voice, and like, if he was like, I want like, if Lincoln was like, oh, I entered the Glee Club because I want to get the solo, and Clyde's like, but wait, I've wanted the solo for so long, and Lincoln's like, well, maybe I could get it myself, and then they both start getting mad at each other, start competing, and maybe again, Clyde gets jealous of, I've been working so hard while Lincoln's been doing video games, and maybe Lincoln's like, well, I have this beautiful voice already, he knows it, so blah blah blah. Maybe they both find ways to like sabotage each other, but like again, like Clyde trying to break Lincoln's voice or Lincoln doing the exact same thing. And again, if that was the way they went about it, then the episode would be more justified in their jealousy against each other. Or again, like Clyde being jealous of Lincoln getting the part and Lincoln actually being more like confident and be like, oh yeah, like I got the part because I wanted it because I've actually been practicing, or I already have a better voice than you, Clyde, or something like that. Like again, it's not out of character for Lincoln to be like super selfish or stuck up at various times. So I could have seen him like really wanting the parts and be like, oh, I got it first. Like in Intern for the Worst, with Intern for the Worst, when Lincoln and Clyde were competing for, being manager at Flips, Clyde got it first and was like really, like really into it. And then when Lincoln got it, he wanted it so badly, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, now I'm the manager." Like that should have been this episode where they both wanted the solo and competed for it, and then both got jealous of each other, and then were both upset that like they both wanted and they were both fighting, and they realized that they were kind of being jerks to each other. Then I could have enjoyed the episode more just because again their jealousy would be more justified than just like Lincoln, again, like Lincoln standing up for Clyde though. Like the fact that Lincoln knew that Clyde wanted this part so badly should have been an indication to Clyde that he shouldn't do this to Lincoln, because Lincoln didn't want the part in the first place. Again, like that's the one thing. Like if Clyde, not Lincoln, or Lincoln, yes, if Lincoln would have not stood up for Clyde and said, I know somebody who's been working so hard and wants it so badly, then Clyde doing this to Lincoln wouldn't be so questionable or so like bad. But I guess that's the whole reason of this episode, is to make Clyde look like the bad guy, because again Lincoln did stand up for him, which again I don't like. I don't like making Clyde the bad guy, because Clyde's so sweet. Like, no, don't do that to poor little innocent Clyde. But yeah, you're right with like the jealousy getting with jealousy taking over Clyde, again justified, but like also there's ways that the episode could have went about that they actually did, but it's conflicting on me about this episode.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. Because they could have done a whole bunch of things with the episode. They had a lot of potential for it. So this idea was kind of, I guess, unless they wanted to make the audience feel uncomfortable, like so that you don't do it yourself. Maybe that was the purpose.
That's true. Yeah. We've talked a lot about this episode, but is there anything else you want to say about flying solo?
No, I think we said a lot.
Yeah, we did say a lot about it. There's a lot to digest with that episode. It's just, yeah, it's so conflicting on my part. But yes, that was all the new episodes of The Loud House and the Casagrandes that came out Friday and Monday. I want to ask you this question real quick. Out of all these episodes that came out, because there was a lot, which one was your favorite?
Zack Attack.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a good choice. And that's for me, definitely Flight Plan. I love Flight Plan. But yeah, but all these episodes were really, really fun and entertaining episodes. Besides my gripes of flying solo, it was still an entertaining episode. But Skylar, thank you so much for coming out to my podcast. Like, I had a lot of fun doing this with you. Like, we had a lot of great, conversations and discussions on these episodes. But again, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
I hope to have you back again sometime if you'd like to come back on again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So before we go, is there any social media you'd like to plug on my show?
You can follow me on Twitter at mychiller. I tweet pretty much anything. I also have two blogs where I write about different TV stuff and just a bunch of stuff. I have one blog called Joshua Online. That's joshuaonline.blogspot.com, and mychiller TV, which is mychillertv.blogspot.com. On the second one, I do a lot of Loud House and Casagrandes posts about the episodes that come on the air, and I do looks at those, and also done the entire first, second seasons on both blogs, because I switch between the two for at the middle point. Yeah.
All right, so I'll make sure to link those in the description and make sure you guys check those out. And as for me, if you have any questions about the podcast or want to discuss the podcast with me, you can contact me over Exciting Clips on Twitter or at the podcast's Twitter, CasaLoud Chats. And we'll see. We don't really know when we'll see you next time. I mean, technically we'll see you next time after next week, because again, next week we have 8 brand new episodes of the Casagrandes coming out, including the big episode Utter Mess coming out on the 16th. And I actually do have a special guest planned for all 8 of those episodes, because Utter Mess, we're going to be having the return of Lincoln in the show. I'm going to be having a returned special guest from last year, the second time I'm doing a crossover episode with Loud Casa Talks, the Loud Casa Talks podcast. I'm going to be having Nate and Omid on as special guests again, because last year I actually had them around the same time. I had them on around February, around Valentine's Day, for the Valentine's Day themed episodes of The Loud House. And so when Other Mess was announced as being the episode with Lincoln in it, I was like, well, I would love to have Nate and Omid back on again on the episode, since their show is Loud Casa and I'm Casa Loud, so it's a perfect combination. And also that week, or maybe the week after, I'm not sure when we're going to be doing this. I'm going to be returning on Saran's podcast for CasaLoud Cybercast, not CasaLoud Chats Sessions, Cybercast now, to talk about the episode Utter Mess with Saran. I am really excited to do that, so I can't wait for that as well. So yes, but again, we're going to be having that big week of Casagrande episodes, so I'm not sure when I'm going to be recording for that one, but we'll see what happens. So again, we'll see you all next time on CasaLoud Chats.